Did you see my boy Colt McCoy retired this week?
It's about time. Headed to the booth. I like Colt. I have nothing against Colt McCoy. I like Colt.
How dare you?
He was actually a pretty solid backup for a long time.
Legend. Longhorn legend.
Yep.
Well,
but if he didn't get hurt, could have won a national championship.
Not could have, would have. They were going to win that game, and the Alabama dynasty may never have gotten off the ground. I mean, probably. By the way, I got some news about Jeff Davis.
Oh, boy.
I can confirm.
You can't confirm he knows who we are.
Well, I can confirm he did see at least one of our ads because Nick told me that he sent it to him last week. And Nick said that his response was, something like, LOL, thanks for sending. And I was like, that's it? And he's like, yeah.
Oh,
so
that's not bad.
Super disappointed that he wasn't immediately jumping on board to be a sponsor. So I didn't know if I should do the graphics this week or if we should just keep going.
Yeah, we can't quit, Jeff. All right,
we got to keep going. You did say we're
go on. Might as well just do it for years, as long as it takes.
I guess that's a fair point. I mean, if he's not sending us a cease and desist letter, we'll count that as a win for now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you have a best thing you saw this week?
The best thing I saw this week was an almost touchdown. I don't know if you saw the highlight. It was Puka Nakua's older brother right before the half, NFL preseason. They tried the Titans, Bailey's Tennessee Titans, tried like a long 60-something yard field goal. And Puka's brother, I think it's, Solomon Nakua, but he caught the ball at the edge of the end zone. So it was 109 yards. He ran it all the way back, and like a backup tight end took an angle on him and got him. He jumped into the end zone, but his foot hit out at the one. So he ran it 108 yards and was out at the one. But it was an electric return. I mean, people were picking up blocks. It was like, and Dennis Allen was fired up. It's like, it's kind of effort we need. But it was, I don't know if it was I guess it was the best thing I saw this week. If Bernie would have won the Little League World, I mean, we're going to get into that.
I don't even want to give Florida
It was a great run.
It was a great run.
And then
up 4-0 going to the last couple with your best pitcher. You have to win that game, but they're kids. They get it.
The pitcher doesn't get hurt. They win for sure. That team wasn't able to hit him at all when he was even close to healthy. But my favorite player in the Little League World Series is definitely that chunky black kid for Florida. Kid's electric. I hope he plays like defensive tackle for Florida State one day. But he was he just dancing around and just a total Turner Little League move where the pitcher turns his back and you're not the fastest out there. You just take off and take home. But his little dances at second were pretty impressive stuff.
And he was doing dances after every ball was thrown, too, in the batter's box.
That's a little much.
That was annoying, actually. But
he is annoying, but he's a
showman.
He's a showman. He's got a future in entertainment.
He's a showman. He's just performing out there, right?
Yeah. And the best was he was like the 9 or 10 hole hitter too. Wasn't like he was like number 3 or 4, like one of the best players. I didn't even realize that. I was like, he hits at the bottom of the order. But the kid definitely had some moxie out there.
My best thing I saw was also a preseason almost touchdown. Did you see the steal? Did you see the 49ers Raiders ending? It was 24-24, and there's no overtime in the preseason. And so this is like one of the last preseason games. Tanner Mordecai was the quarterback for the 49ers. Of course, they only had
SMU guy.
Mordecai at SMU? Yeah, but then he transferred to Wisconsin for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Not the best quarterback in college, somehow on an NFL team. Regardless, they only needed to throw the ball 55 yards. They were on the 45-yard line. He could not get the ball there, so it came up 5 yards short, but it got tipped. And then was deflected and caught at the 10-yard line. I don't know who any of these guys are. I mean, you're talking about the end of an 85-man roster. But on the catch, then what proceeded to happen was like 9 straight laterals, all of which hit the ground and yet were picked up by San Francisco. Eventually ended up in the hands of an offensive lineman who damn near scored. And he you could see his eyes light up. He got past the 10, got to the 5, and it looked like he was going to score. And he just thought in his mind, like, I have this touchdown. And then somebody tripped him up, fell at the 3-yard line. To me, Unfortunately, it would have come back anyway because Mordecai had come back into the play and threw a forward pass. It was really close, but the flag was thrown. You kind of saw it on the replay. But yeah, it would have been an electric into a preseason game. There was like 19 laterals. It was actually probably like 7, but it was just funny because every fucking lateral hit the ground and they kept picking it up.
They kept getting it.
They kept getting it. Like nobody, and they still never got rid of the ball. They just got tackled. So it was That was the best thing I saw this week. If they would have scored, that would have been the best thing I've seen this year. But anyway,
Fat guy touchdown, best play in sports.
Best play in sports for sure. We can talk some NFL here. We got. Have they done this? Previously where they do the last preseason week and then a week off. Have they done that?
They started that whenever the last collective bargaining was, like the last year, 2 years ago.
For some reason I don't remember that.
When they moved to the extended schedule, the one extra regular season game. They got rid of a preseason game, so they moved it back to 3, and they gave these guys the week off.
Okay. I didn't know that. I was like, I did when I saw the schedule earlier this offseason, but I thought it was odd because now we have, not that I really haven't been watching much preseason football except for like a little bit of the Cowboys games. And then like when the rookie quarterbacks were starting, I watched some of those, but yeah, I haven't watched a ton. And I just was surprised that was going to happen. But so we actually have 11 days basically until the NFL season starts. We do get a Thursday Friday game. Like we got a Thursday game and a Friday game this year, and then we'll have obviously Saturday off
Friday
and all the games
in Brazil, right?
Yep, Sao Paulo. But we can talk some NFL as we head into the final week. We'll do some like more predictions and week 1 picks next week because that'll be going into that first week of the NFL. But news from last week, did you see Bo Nix was named the starter in Denver? And, Sean Payton, after we talked about it last week, how good he played. And after his performance in week 2 of the preseason, Sean Payton was like, he played really good. I'm not making a decision. And people kept asking him, and he's like, stop asking. I'm not going to tell you who it is. And then when he came out and said it, he's like, I knew after the 14th throw I watched him in his workout, I knew he was the guy, and I knew he was our guy. And it's
sounds like something your big dog would say.
That's exactly.
Took me exactly 14 throws to determine this will be our guy this year.
That's exactly what he said. And man, he sure has attached himself to Bo Nix now, because if that doesn't work out, he's going to look like quite an idiot there.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I was never really sold at him. I thought he did a lot of he's fun, obviously fun to watch. Did a lot of crazy shit at Auburn, running for his life.
Oh gosh,
good at Oregon last year. I never really thought of him as much of like this guy's going to be a starting NFL quarterback.
I didn't even think he was going to be an NFL quarterback at all.
But he's looked good in the preseason. So it's the preseason. We'll see. The other thing I caught last night, just talking preseason, I saw a little bit of the Broncos game yesterday. They had, but me and my brother were talking about it. Jarrett Stidham is bizarre to me because he's never really looked good in any game he's played, in my opinion. He's very, didn't even think he was very good at Auburn.
He wasn't.
And he's like the bona fide number 2 guy in Denver, I guess, because he went out for one drive and then they had Zach Wilson in there the rest of the game just slinging it around. Yeah. And I was like, Stidham must just kill it in practice and look great, because every organization he's been with is like, oh, we can play Stidham, or whatever. Like when he was with the Patriots, then he was with the Raiders, right?
Yep.
So,
and he was never that great in college. He was good. The only year he was actually really good was when he started his career at Baylor, and he was in that I want to say Art Briles was still the coach, and he was slinging it around as like a one of the young guys there.
Had to be a freshman there,
but
right?
I think he was a freshman, and then he got like seriously injured. Like it was like a real bad neck and or back injury, I remember. And then he was out for the whole next year, then eventually transferred to Auburn, because I think that's when Baylor kind of came crashing down with the whole Art Briles thing. And then, he was just very like mid, to use a millennial term there, very mid at Auburn.
Very mid.
Very mid. And what was the term Jeremiah used to describe me?
Sigma.
Sigma. Apparently Sigma means cool.
Very cool. Apparently.
Very cool. I'm very cool. You're very mid.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Had to break that down for us the other day.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate the love. We're going to get you on the show, even if Big Dog tries to sabotage us and ruin this show. He knows that if we pair up together as teammates, it's going to come down. He's going to come crashing down. He's afraid.
He's actually scared.
He's afraid.
He knows that when I'm here, it's obviously I'm
It's 2-on-1.
team big dog, and so if someone else comes in, he's not going to like it.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like a fair playing field, right? Like there has to be a level of cheating involved.
That's right.
Or unfair play for it to be equal for him, right?
That's just old school.
It's not old school. It's just
old school.
No, he's got a lot of issues, but we'll move on from that.
Learned that back in Nam. So anyway.
Yeah. Jacoby
Stidham. Yeah, Brissett. Oh, that's what I was
going
to
to go to the next guy.
So, go to Brissett.
Well, go ahead.
Like
he got hurt, but I don't know. Did he actually get hurt?
I think he got hit hard. I don't think he's actually hurt. And then they just took him out of the game and let Drake May play. I actually watched most of that game. There's nothing else on last night, so I had it on in the background and I was watching it. Apparently, I think a couple starters were out on the Patriots offensive line, but there was like 3 starters out there, and they are fucking horrible.
The offensive line
are fucking bad. Yeah, I mean they were getting. It was the second unit for the Commanders out there, and they're just, blowing them up like throughout the game. And the Patriots, it's a point of emphasis, like these officials do every year at the beginning of the season, which I actually agree with, but it just drives me crazy watching it because they keep throwing flags. But they do need to fix it. Is the tackle has to be in line with at least the belt loop of the center. He can't be further back.
Right.
So, you've seen those tackles in the last couple of years lined up like 2 yards.
And they never...
they threw about 8 flags
They haven't been calling that, though.
Yeah. Well, last night, Ed Hockley, or whatever his name is, his fucking son, is a goober. They were throwing it through Sean Hockley. Through, at least 10 flags on it.
On that same thing.
Maybe not 10, 6, 5 to 6. And it was the same guy who was left tackle like 3 times. And they scored a touchdown right before half. Drake May made an awesome play. He rolled out, and a guy was open. He chunked it. It was like a 50-yard touchdown. And then Sean Hockley goes to Mike. He's like, legal formation, number 77, again, not lined up on the whatever. And he's like,
he said again?
Yeah, again. And once again, not lined up with it was like, the guy did it like 4 different times. It just shows you, I hope whoever it is a backup, because he was horrible.
Was it the right call? Like, shouldn't you have been calling it?
No, yeah, like whatever Steve Austin or whatever the guy's name is, whatever.
Rules expert, yeah. Oh, yeah, Matt Austin,
Matt Austin. They were asking him, they were like, not Stone Cold Steve Austin, Matt Austin. But yeah, Matt Austin, they were asking him, and he was like, no, he's like, it's not even close. That's why they keep throwing. He's on his ass, like barely on his ass. He's not even close to lined up. And so he's like, I know that's probably getting annoying for people at home, basically, but they're trying to make a point in this preseason that they're going to call it. So I don't know. Do
you think they should start Drake May? Like, what's the risk of starting him? Is the offensive line that bad? Like, I think we were talking a little bit about this last week with rookie quarterbacks. Like, I think you have to have a team to the point of like, it's going to be detrimental to his health or his development to not play him. Like, they have to be that bad. Are they that bad? I haven't watched enough of them.
Last night they were that bad. I don't know if, like I said, the starting center Andrews, who's been around, was forever. The starting center was out.
Yeah.
So like that's the backup center was from like, or NC A&T or whatever, and he rolled a couple snaps back there. The kid was fucking horrible. I was like, that's her backup center. They better pray to God Andrews stays healthy. But they're not very good. I would just start Drake May. I think it's stupid not to, actually, because, like you said, just throw him into, the season's not going to go well, but just let him develop. He had some good drives last night. There were some times where the plays were getting blown up, but I just think it's stupid not to.
Yeah.
Brissett, you might win. I don't know. Drake May, I think, I was impressed with what I saw. And not to mention Drake May can run a little bit, which will help you.
Yeah.
Brissett really can't. I would just start him. And look, they're going to win 3 or 4 games this year probably. But, just start him.
Yeah, there's been some pro money on their under. They're not good.
What is their over-under?
I think it was 4. It was 4.5,
yeah,
I think.
That I would say, I would be shocked if they won 5 games. They're not going to be good at
all. Yeah, currently 4.5, yeah.
The one I heard someone talking about the other day, just speaking of over-unders, some guy somewhere, which I agree with. I think there's a 0, and you mark this down. I'm sure they'll win 9 games, but the Arizona Cardinals is like 7.5. There's no way that team's winning 8 games.
Yeah.
They win total 7.5.
They're like looking at last year and like, oh, Kyler Murray's back. Like, they were horrible the year before with Kyler Murray. they really didn't get any better. The only guy they added was Marvin Harrison Jr., right?
Yeah, and that's not going to give them 3 extra. I mean, listen, the team plays in a division where they're the worst team in the division.
Yeah.
Okay. The Rams and 49ers are really good. They're not as good as the Seahawks aren't good, but they're not as good as the Seahawks. You can make an argument that they're same. And I was looking at their schedule, and it's like their matchups, outside of the division are whatever divisions are playing. I remember.
Yeah.
I think it might be the AFC East. So like the only decent team there is the Patriots. They're going to lose all the other ones. I don't know. I can't remember
you're
exactly.
Right. Well, I'm looking at their schedule right here.
I think there's a 0% chance they win 8 games.
Their first 3 games are at Buffalo, versus the Rams, versus the Lions.
Yeah.
So
more than likely 0-3, maybe 1 win.
Right. Then they go home against the Commanders, like probably a win, but like what are they favored by in that game? 4. At San Francisco, loss. At Green Bay, loss. Versus the Chargers, probably a loss. At Miami, loss. Versus Chicago, versus the Jets. At Seattle, at Minnesota, versus Seattle, versus New England, at Carolina, at LA, and versus San Francisco. Yeah, that is I'm looking at that and it's like, okay, New England and Carolina are your 2 probable wins, right? Like, and maybe Washington.
And say they steal 3 or 4 more. I mean, they're still not getting 8.
I think that's actually crazy that it's that high.
I don't
They're
know
just
why
think,
they have
and
faith.
you're supposed to get, if you're the worst team in the division the year before, you're supposed to get an easier schedule, but that does not seem like a very easy schedule.
No.
Did you see the thing with Tua but talking about Brian Flores?
Yeah.
What? There was a debate about it.
Brian Flores, I think, is just a note. He's a defensive guy, and he's like old school and just try. I think he's just verbally abusive on the field, and that didn't. Tua's not the kind of guy to really do that. And that might work on the defensive side of the ball, but doing that to your quarterback is maybe the dumbest thing you can do in a position that you just need instilled confidence. And so even if you're not good, somebody telling you that you just bashing your quarterback is going to
you're right.
end a disaster. I mean, I could understand why he was maybe frustrated because I think at that point the Dolphins defense was okay and the Tua and the offense was no good, and they drafted him in the first round. So he's like, going Jason Brown on him. By the way, I watched. I hadn't seen it in years, so I watched both those seasons. Cracks me.
Oh, you rewatched them?
Yeah, just going off.
Dude, that's one of the best.
Sorry pieces. You're a sorry motherfucker, man.
You sorry motherfucker. You a punk ass bitch, homie.
Is that legal?
JB, friend of the show, baby.
Love you, JB.
We love you.
Yeah, but I just don't think that's the best thing to do with quarterbacks. So, and Tua's like a soft-spoken, by all accounts, a very nice person. So it probably just
that's what was surprising to me is Tua really. I can't think of a time he's done something like this. Now I understand. I believe it was on the Dan Le Batard show that this happened. Yeah, he was doing like the South Beach Confessions show or whatever with Dan Le Batard, and he got asked a question about it. It wasn't like he just brought it up, but I was just surprised at how honest he was about it. And I'm not faulting him by any means, but it's just you look at Brian Flores. He's in a lawsuit with the NFL. He's kind of like probably never going to be a head coach again, and if he is, he's this is the last thing he needed.
Yeah,
and it kind of this is a bad look for him. And I was just surprised that Tua did it. He must have really disliked Brian Flores, or he just wasn't thinking in the moment. But I think it's hard to be like in that moment and think, you know what, I'm gonna say this I'll just say this and like by accident. Like I think he did it on purpose. He was asked the question, he knew he was going to say it, and he did. And he just must really dislike the guy because it doesn't make any sense to say it otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's just like as a coach, you need to be able to read if you're Flores and you want to yell at the defense and be a dick and like, hey, be a hard nosed kind of piece of shit. That's fine with defensive players for the most part.
Yeah,
but you cannot do that. Like Tua came from Alabama, where Nick Saban will get after somebody, but I have a hard time. Maybe one time at Alabama ever, Nick Saban got in to his face and cussed him out. I would say probably not. He's the kind of guy that would be like, man, what, you got to be smarter than that. You're fucking dumb. Like, whatever. Put somebody else in. But he's not like, oh, you suck. So like, that's just Flores' mentality. Old school football.
I guess that's a Bill Belichick type deal too, because Bill Belichick did that shit. What the fuck are you doing, Brady?
It's probably like 50-50
right
when it comes to the coaches, but Tom Brady is the kind of guy that can handle that. Tua is not like, he's just not.
Well, in that Dynasty documentary, Brady had a tough time with it, even though he was able to handle it and get through it. But he had a tough time, like, with the fact that Bill treated him like that. Like, he didn't fucking like it ever. He never liked it. And yeah, like, I agree. I'm thinking about it. And obviously I coached basketball and younger kids, but I think about the fact that, like, the only way you can get on somebody like that is you have to have some sort of, like, positive relationship with them beyond that. Like, you cannot yell at somebody like that in today's world, whether it's fair or not. It just doesn't work anymore unless you have a significantly positive relationship with them beyond that, just the sport. Like, they have to know that you are doing this because that you want them to be successful and you're trying to make them better, right?
And you have their back, which
right?
Flores did not. He wanted them gone. So
yes.
The fact that you're doing that is
right. So
not good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. So I was looking up kind of NFL topics, and I heard this topic being discussed on ESPN radio not too long ago, and it's kind of a weird scenario. Hasson Reddick he's never played a snap for the Jets. He was on the Eagles the last couple of years, right? In April, in the offseason, the Eagles traded him to the Jets for whatever, like a conditional 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah.
And he's going into the last year of his deal. He's set to make $15 million. I think in 2022 was the first year of his deal. It was a 3-year, $45 million deal. So obviously Reddick is a pretty good player. He wants a new deal. So he's traded to the Jets with supposedly the understanding that he was going to play out that last year on his contract, and then they could renegotiate at the end. Now he's holding out, saying he's not going to play without a new contract. Whether that was the case all along, I have a hard time believing the Jets traded it for him, knowing that he wanted a new contract and then weren't willing to give it to him, because supposedly they offered him like a small increase in pay and he said no. But he is also losing money by holding out. He's already lost, I believe, $2.5 million of his contract by holding out the 3 preseason games. Plus, there's additional like $50,000 a day fines for certain practice days. So he could be losing a ton of money. I guess I'm curious, like, it's weird because he's definitely a luxury given how good the Jets defense were last year. But, if you're in win now mode, do you just say fuck it at this point and pay the guy so you can have him on the field? And if you're trying to win a Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers has 1 or 2 years or do you really want to play hardball with the guy and try to save $5 million a year? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know too much about that contract dispute or negotiations at all. I do know he was traded there. If you're going to trade for him, I assume they thought they could work out a deal with him, right? So, yeah. And they haven't been able to. So I don't know if he's asking for just an ungodly amount of money or what it may be, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm with you. The Jets are definitely win now mode. So in my opinion, if they thought if he was anywhere near the amount of money, but in my opinion, they're going to, a deal will get done before the regular season.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it doesn't, unless they just think he's not worth a shit. And they're like, dude, we've seen what you've done in practice. Like, we're not paying you this, So I'm not too sure. I don't follow the Jets that closely. And I know Reddick's a good player, but like you said, they're definitely win now mode. So I feel like
they traded,
if it was possible, what did they trade for him? They
traded a third. It was a 2026 third round pick. So it's not like it was nothing. So they gave up a third round pick for the guy. You're going to be like, oh, sorry. Like, now I do understand the fact that, like, in the NFL, the players have no fucking leverage, right? Like, you hold out, you lose your money, right? Like, you don't get your contract and you're giving up your salary.
I mean, I think it goes both ways. Jeremiah was talking about this the other day. He thinks they have too much leverage. Yeah, they lose money, but it's like, and I agree with him somewhat too, that it's just crazy that these guys sign these contracts and then hold organizations at gunpoint.
I agree.
Like, I'm not coming to play until you give me more money. It's like, bitch, you sign a contract.
Yeah.
Like, you play out your contract.
I agree.
And then I'll give you more money. Or if it's, the very last, is this Ceedee Lamb's last year? Does he have 2 years?
He's going into his last year.
Okay.
It's a team option, I believe.
It's a team option. Okay. So, I would get why, if I was him, I'd be like, then I'm not playing your team option. All these other receivers have gotten money. I want to get paid.
Yeah.
Now, the ones that are a little delusional to me is like, Jamar Chase wants $5 million more a year than Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the organization, I'd be like, look, I'll pay you the same amount as Justin Jefferson. I'm not giving you $5 million more a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You haven't been as good as him, frankly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not, we as an organization believe in you. You say you have tremendous upside and we think you're as good, if not better, but you're not going to make $5 more million a year.
And just the fact that it's like, okay, we're willing to pay you top dollar, but like you understand we're trying to win here. Do you want to win or do you want just to get paid?
A lot of them don't give a shit. Yeah, they want to get paid.
And I know his argument is going to be, well, Joe Burrow makes $55 million a year.
Well, you're not a quarterback.
Exactly. But, that's the whole back and forth debate. I do agree with you. I think the possible solution, maybe not solution, because I don't know how you fix it, but I think that they should just make all contracts guaranteed. And then you have to play out your deal. Like, you are not allowed to hold out, however way they can do that. That way, okay, yes, you are, you cannot hold out, but you also, I also don't like that, like, you can sign a $140 million contract and 90 of it's guaranteed. In the last year, they'd be like, fuck you, and cut you, and you get none of that extra money. I don't like that part. So I think if you just make all contracts fully guaranteed, which they should be anyway, and if you want to add additional incentives or bonuses, fine. But then you can't hold out or whatever. I think that might be a good option. Anyway.
Yeah, something along those lines. I got to figure out something. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is either.
Let's see. I was actually going to go to this Ja'Marr Chase thing, so we talked about that. Let's see.
So what is because you follow the Cowboys way more than me. Ceedee still hasn't reported to camp. Is that the deal? He's just not there?
So, yeah, we can just talk about this right now. So, yes, it's kind of, it's fucking absurd. Yes, he's still holding out.
Okay.
And we're less than 2 weeks away, obviously, from the season. And, I think there was offers made, and he has declined them.
Got it.
He wants top receiver money. I don't know the number. It's funny. I was listening to Payne and Todd's podcast, Bet the Board, which is a great betting podcast to listen to. And they were saying, this was like when they did the NFC East preview like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was like, yeah, they offered him, I think it was 5-year, $138 million, something like that, which is just under $30 million a year. I don't know what that number is.
He's not going to take that. He's not going to take less than $30 million a year.
But supposedly, that's $12 million away from that number. And they were saying, like, it's going to get done within the next week. And it's been 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, and nothing has gotten done. And I get it. I understand that we were just talking about it, right? From an organizational standpoint, I get it. You don't want to pay the guy over money. But look, this guy is arguably the best player on your team that's a non-quarterback, right? Like, I know Micah Parsons really, really good. Ceedee Lamb was the best receiver in football last year. Hands down. There is no debate. He was the best receiver in football statistically last year. And you have an organization that just got valued as the highest valuation of any major sports team, correct? They were the highest.
Oh, yeah.
10.3 or whatever, 10.3 billion. So you have the most expensive, highest valued franchise in sports history in America. And you have a team and an owner in Jerry Jones who over the last decade has spent less money than any other organization. And now you have stars needing to get paid and you're refusing to pay them while simultaneously saying that you are all in on winning now. You're in your 80s. You may not have very many years left. What are you doing at this point? What the fuck are you doing? If you're going to, if you're really wanting to win a Super Bowl, pay the fucking guys and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out with Dak after this year, fine, do something else. But you're going to keep Ceedee Lamb either way. You're never trading him. You're never getting rid of Ceedee Lamb here. They'll just fucking pay him and move on. And then, you should have done this last year, really. You should have got this done way beforehand. And you waited until the guy had a fucking career year to do it. And now you don't want to pay up. Too bad. He was in a contract year, kind of, last year. Obviously, team option this year. Yet allowed him to have this monstrous year, and now you don't want to pay him? Get the fuck out of here. Pay the guy. I'm not a guy. I don't like holding out, but this is ridiculous. This is the number one receiver in football. Just fucking pay him. I don't know what he's asking for. Maybe he is doing the Ja'Marr Chase thing and asking for...
if he wants $40 million, that's what Chase is asking for. 40?
Something like that, yeah.
I think Ceedee Lamb should make... I think Justin Jefferson makes 35. I think the sweet spot for the Cowboys is they're going to have to pay him I know he's asking for Jefferson money, but the Cowboys are going to have to pay him 31 to 32 million, probably get anything done, I would think, a year. But I at this point, who knows? I don't know what the fuck Jerry Jones is doing.
Dude,
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
If you don't want to spend the money, and you're in your whatever age and you just want to enjoy your money, sell the fucking team.
Yeah.
Sell the fucking team, right? Get your 10 million or whatever. I'm sure you would have a bunch of investors come together to buy it, or you'd have, Jeff Bezos or somebody one of the richer people in the world, come in and buy it. Go take your money, go live on an island for your last 5 years, bring a fucking personal doctor, bring Michael Jackson's doctor to shoot you up with fucking fentanyl all day, whatever you want to do, okay?
Hot take
right there, whatever, right? Like, get a fucking walk-in IV, right?
It just doesn't make any sense, because I genuinely think that he does want to win, and but because it's Jerry Jones, and it seems like I've been around 30 years or so, that's all he cares about is winning. But he's obviously not showing it. So I don't know what the deal is. It could be just the old, I'm the owner, fuck you, big dick competition. I don't know. And he's like, I'll pay you when I want to pay you, that kind of thing. That's honestly what it kind of seems like to me, because otherwise I just don't know why a deal wouldn't be, get done by this point.
It's brutal.
Okay, real quick. Ceedee Lamb reportedly is asking for $33 million. So to me,
pay him.
That's pretty reasonable. Honest to God.
Pay him.
I mean, because Jefferson signed that deal last year, right? For $35 a year?
I believe so.
So, in CD's realistic and, knows that Justin Jefferson's the best in the league. So, he's asking for a little less a year later. I think
that's crazy.
I think if he's asking for 33, you can get a deal done for 32. Right?
You pay him.
So the Cowboys should try to get him for like $32 million.
That's crazy. I would pay him 33. I would try for 32, but I'd pay him 33.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fact that that's the number is wild to me.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. That's crazy. I'll do a last little NFL topic here. This is for you. Tommy DeVito is basically going to be the third quarterback for the Giants.
Tommy Cutlets
as the emergency backup. He comes in against the Jets his last game, and all he had to do was not fuck up. 14 of 27 for 100 yards, no touchdowns, and he was sacked 8 times. And now there is question whether they're going to cut him and go get another third-string quarterback.
Who's the second-string quarterback?
Shit, I forgot who it was. Let's see. The backup quarterback is that's right, Drew Lock. Drew Lock got traded over there, or went over there.
Drew Lock might be the starter by week 4.
He might. He's hurt right now, but if he gets healthy, yeah, I actually think it'd be fucking hilarious if they cut Tommy DeVito. Talk about one of the worst quarterbacks to ever be. I mean, he couldn't even play at fucking Syracuse. Guy is horrible. If he wasn't a New York Giant and from New York, he wouldn't be in the NFL. He'd be in the CFL, where you win on missed extra points or missed field goals. All right, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna do news or fake news. All right,
let's see what we got here.
Number 1. You actually, like, thinking about these right now, you should be able to get these. I think you're going to have a shot to go 4 for 4. All right, number 1, Zach Wilson goes 16 of 25 for 250 yards, 3 total touchdowns and 0 turnovers in the Broncos' final preseason game, which they won.
I watched a lot of it, and then he was in the game for a long time. I wouldn't say I watched a lot of it, maybe like half of it. I'm going to say this is news.
This is news. That is correct. Yeah, Zach Wilson. How about Zach Wilson? 3 total touchdowns. All he needed was to get away from Nathaniel Hackett. Look at that. All he had to do was get away from Nate Hackett.
That was mentioned yesterday. It's like, well, he's doing a lot better under Sean Payton than Nathaniel Hackett.
It's a little bit of an upgrade.
He was going against the backups, but he had backups out there with him, so.
I don't know.
Not bad.
They're going to keep him on as
well, here's the thing. They might not, because if they have Stedham as their second string quarterback, they might not carry 3, but Zach Wilson will be on a roster somewhere.
Well, I thought everybody gets the emergency third quarterback, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't know what the pay. I mean, do they pay him? I mean, is he going to make league minimum or something?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, but I did hear
he probably wants. I mean, the thing about Zach Wilson is I don't think he's good, right? But if you were a team that was like a contender, he would be a guy you want as a backup quarterback because you could actually win games with him in there.
You can.
I mean, he's not going to win you. I mean, but if you're just trying to
3 weeks survive,
say your starter's out for a month, then he could possibly go 2-2 on a good team.
Yeah, he's about as good as Will Levis. Right, Bailey?
Oh my God, Will Levis is a Hall of Famer, Bailey. Oh my God, you hear what Tom Brady was saying about him? Oh,
what?
So that reminds him a lot of himself.
Oh, I like it. Gunslinger. Yeah. Okay, you're 1 for 1. Number two.
Can I vent 1 second in NFL here?
Go ahead.
Going through the schedule, and we're going news or no news. But why do they do these giant divisional games week 1?
That's horrible. It's so dumb.
Why are the Texans playing the Colts week 1 in Indy? That's like the biggest game in that division all year, and it's week 1. Well, I don't understand how why they do that.
I completely agree. I also think
the Raiders are playing the Chargers. Like, it's all these half these teams are playing divisional opponents.
No, they always do. The Cowboys played the Giants last year, the first game of the season on Sunday Night Football. I agree. You see it in college football too. And even though it's not like a huge game, but like Georgia Tech and Florida State play a conference game week 1. Like they don't do that in basketball. You don't play conference games until like middle of the season.
Yeah.
You play 15 games.
It's weird to me. Like to open, I think you shouldn't play any conference games until at least like week 4.
I agree. I agree.
It's crazy. Okay, news.
All right, number 2. Several Los Angeles Chargers players, including Justin Herbert, were rescued by the Dallas Fire Rescue Team after being stuck in an elevator for 2 hours.
I saw that. I actually randomly saw that news. That is news. That is real news.
That is real news. It was at the Westin in Dallas. Apparently, there was like 15 people or more stuck in that elevator, which, if it was a lot of football players, was probably a pretty heavy elevator. At the end, apparently some of them came out and a lot of them had taken their shirts off because it was so hot. But the funniest part of all this was the aftermath. Like, there was a legitimate article written about this, and the author was talking about how good Justin Herbert's leadership was. And then Jim Harbaugh made comments. Did you see them?
No. Dude,
he really is one of the weirdest people I've ever seen or around football. He said, you get in those situations and it's a test of wills. I was proud of each of the guys and the 2 ladies in the elevator. That's a win. You feel good about yourself. It was a test of wills, and you pull it down or you pull it in. The fuck does that mean? Then he went even further, and this was the weirdest thing. He said, as each came out of the elevator, they were sweating. Some had their shirts off. Justin Herbert, his hair was a little wet, but his shirt was completely dry. That was another thing that blew me away. What?
Dude, he's calm. Listen, he's calm in the face of adversity. All right? Everything's a test to Jim. You know what? I'll take it a step further. I bet Jim purposely got that elevator stuck to test him. That seems like something he would do.
It's a very good point, because why was he standing right there waiting?
Yeah, why don't we get this elevator stuck and see how they come out of this? I just want to see his face when he comes out.
He's got wet hair but a dry shirt. That's a leader right there. We're in good shape. Boys, I found our quarterback, all right? Found our quarterback. By the way, I got Justin Herbert in like the 11th round yesterday in a 2-quarterback league. Yeah, stole him. That was pretty good pick. So you are 2 for 2, and Jim Harbaugh is a weirder. Also, dude, elevators scare the shit out of me. I don't know why. And I have some
when you actually think about them, they're pretty. I've seen the safety measures on them and stuff. Like, as far as there's several cords. Like, they're not. You're not going anywhere. But when you actually think about, like, say when you're in Vegas or a big building and you're just shooting to the top 50 floors up.
That's right.
Think about it,
dude.
Are you coming down? I like some of the hotels have it where it's they're smaller hotels, but even like when there's like 8 floors at a hotel, when they have the ones you can see out of the glass, like,
yep.
I think it's Embassy Suites that have all those, and you come down like into the little courtyard deal.
Yep, you can see.
Dang, and you're going pretty fast.
That's right. Hey. I don't like those at all. But yeah, no, like always when we were at Bally's, we stayed at, I guess it's Horseshoe now. We stayed at Horseshoe a couple months back in Vegas. You know how many times they were fixing that fucking elevator when we were going up and down on our floor? And I'm like, how many times does this fucking thing break? Like, how many people were in here when this broke? Did anybody die? Because I've read stories. Like, I read a story not too long ago about this lady who, she was literally getting ready to get on an elevator, and I guess she pressed a button and the doors open and there was no elevator, and she didn't look, and she just stepped in and she fucking fell down and died. Like, the fuck? Like, I'm always afraid that, like, when I'm getting out of the elevator, it's just going to fall down and I'm going to get crushed and die. So I always, like, jump through the elevator real quickly because I'm afraid. I have some weird phobias, like heights, snakes, sharks, spiders. I'm claustrophobic, but mainly now, elevators. Elevators scare the shit out of me. So
it's a new one.
Yeah.
Elevators.
Okay. Number 3 for news or fake news. Lincoln Riley announced Thursday that he was excited to have Pete Carroll officially join his staff at USC.
It's news.
You sure?
Yeah, because it's not like, I thought it's not as a staff. I thought it's like as an advisor. I saw something. He's back.
Turner.
No, sorry, it's fake news. Pete Carroll's teaching a class. That's what I saw. Damn it.
I gave him a hint.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. I'm going to give it to you because I want to see if you can get the last one.
All right.
Well, no, you're going to get the last one. So this was the one,
Okay.
but I'll give it to you. Even though I had to help you here.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley. Yeah, this is fake news. Pete Carroll will be teaching a class this semester. You are correct. He didn't actually join the staff, but Lincoln Riley did say he was excited to have Carroll around. Do you think that Pete is like Lincoln, where like, he would come in and like Lincoln, like, they don't really show up early and it's all about the offense and it's kind of more about the show and it's not. Do you think Pete's more like meticulous and detailed and cares more about that? Or is he more like if he walked into a Lincoln Riley practice or facility, would he be disgusted or would he be like, yeah, he fits in just perfectly? Like,
it's a good question.
I was thinking about that.
Pete seems like he's somewhat laid back, but I bet when he was at USC, there was a lot of, detail and order around. I don't know. NFL, Pete, I think when you got a little bit older and it's like, hey, you just find the guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, Andy was trying to cover up everything at USC with all his illegal recruiting and
I was thinking
paying Reggie Bush.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I heard somebody compare, they were talking about Barry Bonds getting in the Hall of Fame and they were trying to compare Reggie Bush's Heisman to Barry Bonds getting in the Hall of Fame. Like, you can't unsee because it happened. It's like, yeah, but Reggie Bush didn't cheat.
Yeah,
It's completely not a good comparison whatsoever.
Barry was juicing.
That's why it was a Sunday show on ESPN. Anyway, all right, we'll move on. Number 4, Cowboys cornerback Deron Bland, who led the NFL in interceptions last season, tears ACL in practice and will miss the entire season.
Was it the ACL?
I don't know. Was it?
Dude, I don't know.
This is the point.
I think you changed it up on me because, well, listen, the ticker said yesterday it was 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know if the ACL went or not. So I'm going to say fake news.
You're correct. Got a way to stick with your gut there.
Okay.
Yeah. I did change it up on you.
Yeah.
He did not. He did suffer a stress fracture in his foot, and he's out 4 to 6. Some say 4 to 6. Some say 6 to 8 weeks. But he did not tear his ACL. Either way, tough loss for the Cowboys. We talked about the fact that they let Stephon Gilmore go. The Vikings went and fucking signed him for $8 million.
Yep.
We don't have another cornerback. And of course, we just got Trayvon Diggs back, and now we lose Bland. Not that I think Bland is, I know he got first team All-Pro last year. Interceptions and touchdowns masked a lot of his coverage issues. So it's not as big of a loss as people may think. But you lose your starting cornerback, that hurts. And, this is why Jerry, once again, is one of the worst GMs in the history of sports. Okay, you kind of went 4 for 4. I guess I'll give it to you.
Maybe a half a point.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. 4 for 4.
I didn't lock in the final answer like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Should we play WNBA or not now before we go into college football?
Up to you.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'm always down for WNBA.
Well, we're going to play it. I just mean, should we do it now? We'll do it now.
Bailey's favorite game, too.
Well, absolutely. Okay.
It's time to play WNBA or not.
So number 1 in WNBA or not. Is this a WNBA player or not?
You know what? My gut instinct says yes. This is absolutely a WNBA player.
Is that what you're saying? Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That is a WNBA player.
Boom.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. I'm going perfect.
Hot
today.
start.
I feel it, boys. I feel it.
Hot start. All right, he's off to a good start. All right, let me think which direction I want to go in terms of the order. Do I want to like trip you up with the order or just go? No, well, I'll keep it fair. Okay, we're gonna go to this next one. All right, this one. Is this a WNBA player or not?
God, looks like a big bitch. She's tall, pretty but tall. I'm gonna say it's a WNBA player.
You already missed one. It is not. And you know who that is? You're going to love this.
Oh, that's the girl that beat the shit. That's Lucas Glover's wife. She used to beat the shit out of Lucas. You got a close up on that for the people at home. Folks, this is...
I'll put the mugshot on the screen.
They can look this pretty, but listen, if you miss 3-footers, they'll beat the shit out of you when you get home. All right? Krista Glover. And Lucas stood by her because he knew his putting was absolute shit. And he deserved to get beat at home.
Damn, that's true. Hey, and look, he won a tournament not too long ago, so it paid off.
Yep.
She did get 12 months probation for beating the shit out of him, but, trooper. He's a trooper. All right, you're
Dude,
one.
That is a funny fit in there. I had no idea.
You like that one? Like that one? I got creative last. I was up at 3 a.m. last night finding these.
Just beating the hell out of Lucas at midnight after he comes home after another miscut.
All right, number 3. WNBA player or not? We went. Our order so far has been yes, then no.
This girl's too pretty to be in the WNBA. Dude, listen, I'm looking at a TV from here. I mean, you got to zoom in a little bit here. No, not in the WNBA.
Do you know Bailey? It's not Brittany Mahomes.
Oh, man, her face isn't that jacked up. Come on.
This is a WNBA player. This is Lexi Hull on the Indiana Fever. She hit like 8 threes the other night for them. Yeah, she's actually been terrible the whole year, but she's been playing a lot better lately. Okay, so you're 1 for 3, which means in order to pass the test, you have to go 2 for 2 on the last 3. 2 for 2 on the last 2. All right. This is this a WNBA player or
Dude,
not?
You're definitely trying to trick me here. This is not a WNBA player. This is a trick. That can't. Who the fuck is it? It's not a WNBA player.
Bailey,
it looks like it has to. It looks like it has to be though, because she's so fucking big.
Is it or not?
Holy shit.
Don't help him.
I'm not even looking.
He gave you the answer.
I promise. I'm probably not.
Oh, okay. You are correct. You're correct then, Bailey.
It is. I'm just gonna stick with my gun and say no.
Oh, it is. You should have just gone with it. You switched.
I mean, it's impossible not to be, but I think you're trying to trick me here.
This is Dewana Bonner of the Connecticut Sun. And dude, you got to look real quick at hold on. Look at this. I couldn't believe that this person was real when I was watching them play the other night against Andrew Reese and she used to be like really good. Hold on. She was terrible at the end of this game that I was watching. Dude, look at this. What in the... Oh, yeah, she married her teammate, by the way.
Ooh, that could be some tricky locker room dynamics.
That's right. Like, dude, look at the arms. Look at the length. Look at her legs are like sticks.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was too obvious that it was like, it wasn't.
All right, last one.
Oh, my God.
Is this a WNBA player or not?
That's Amanda Bynes back in the day.
There you go. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
That's Amanda Bynes.
Nailed it.
You remember the movie?
Isn't it like She's the Man?
She's the Man. Yeah,
okay,
there you go.
I get bonus points.
Yeah, I'll give you, but you went. I'll give you 50%.
That movie came out when we were just younger, so I just remember.
That's pretty good.
I don't know if I ever watched it.
Pretty good. All right. You got 2 for 5, but you get bonus points for getting Amanda Bynes. And if you would have stuck with your, if you would have you switched answers on 2 of them.
I know.
You had a potential to go 4 for 5. The only one you legitimately missed was the wife, the husband beater, and Lucas Glover's wife, Krista Glover.
I'm a big fan of Krista.
All right. That's it for WNBA.
She keeps it real in the household.
That's it for WNBA or not. And don't worry, we're not misogynistic on this show, so we will do some NBA or not coming up. You know, we'll mix it up here. It's just way more fun with the WNBA or not.
We're gonna run out of the WNBA's not that big. We'll run out of players.
There's only so many players. Yeah. Five a week. Nah, we got a couple years left of WNBA or not.
WNBA or not.
All right. College football started this past weekend. We had the first games of the 2024-2025 college football season. They call it week 0. There were 4 FBS teams in action. Underdogs went 4-0 against the spread. All the underdogs were double-digit underdogs. And 3 of the 4 double-digit underdogs led going into the fourth quarter. All 4 of the games were within a touchdown. Hawaii was a 40-point favorite that night. At night on Saturday, they played at 11 p.m. It was a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter.
I saw some of the highlights, and Delaware State is Hawaii's got some stuff to work out because I saw some.
And they're supposed to be not bad this year.
Yeah, I saw some clip in Delaware State is are they an HBC? Are they
I don't think so.
Or
Delaware.
It's Delaware State. They play not Delaware, not the Mad Hens or whatever the hell they're called.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But Delaware State was really, really bad.
State-assisted historically black land grant researched in Dover, Delaware. That's surprising.
They are not good.
Acceptance rate 55%, graduation rate 48%, average cost $13,000. Thank you,
but
Wikipedia.
They were only down 7. They actually tied it, I think, right? They were showing the highlights.
Did they?
It was 14-14 early in the third, and then I think Hawaii scored
They scored at the end of the third, and they scored 2 in the fourth.
Could have ended up scoring more. At the end, they were just, with 6 minutes to go, Chang was being nice over there at Hawaii and just handing the ball off. So
yeah. which he really didn't. It's not like they needed to. It was tight for most of it. You had Montana State, who was an FCS school, actually favored. It was the biggest point spread, or the most any FCS team has ever been favored over an FBS team, as Montana State closes like a 13.5 point favorite against New Mexico. And New Mexico was up double digits in the fourth quarter and blew the game and lost. Their win total of 1.5 is in major jeopardy after that one.
I laughed when you told me that's what it was. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, and then SMU should have lost to Nevada.
Yep.
And when
they were favored by what you said?
27.5 or 28.
Crazy, yeah. SMU looked listen, all the credit to Nevada. They played hard. They're really, really bad.
How about Jeff Choate?
Yeah, it just shows you how bad, really Nevada is, because SMU played as horrible as they possibly could and still won.
Yeah.
But, SMU deserved to lose that game for sure.
I think Nevada's win total is like 3.
Yeah, they're supposed
to be like horrible.
They're supposed to be real
Picked to finish last in that conference. And then the only game where the underdog actually won was the best game of the week, and it was the most hyped game of the week, the one in Ireland, right? It was Georgia Tech upsetting number 10 Florida State 24-21. Did you watch the entire game?
Yes. That's the one I watched, the only game I really
Me
watched.
too. I didn't watch really. I watched the end of the SMU Nevada game, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I almost think they should do away with week 0 and just start at week 1. Like, I get it. I'm not saying I was glad I got to watch a game on Saturday, but it's like now Florida State and Georgia Tech had to play in fucking Ireland and come back and play the next week. And then also, besides that game, would I really care about the other games? No, that was the only game. So I get it.
I'm thankful for the one game, but I agree. Then the other ones don't really matter. So.
But the first drive for Florida State, that game, 7 plays, 75 yards in 4 minutes, scored a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion on the swinging gate, which was actually fucking awesome.
Dude, a lot of teams brought out the swinging gate this first week. There's
did they?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I saw the first drive of the ESPN game. It was in FCS. It was North Alabama versus Southeast Missouri State. And Southeast Missouri State's supposed to be okay this year. But anyway, they went down and scored, and first play went swinging gate and scored. And then there's one other team. 3 teams did it on their first deal. But anyway, it worked. But yeah, watching Florida State go down the field and score like that, you're like, oh man, this is going to be a long game. And then Georgia Tech goes right down and scores. And then you could see them kind of controlling line of scrimmage. And I was like, dang, this is going to be, I don't think Florida State's going to win this game.
That's what it felt
Tech
like.
Looked better at half.
Well, what's crazy too is when they, on that first drive for Florida State, I was looking at the box score and kind of what, based on or backing up what you're saying, right? Florida State had 58 rushing yards on the first drive of the game. And they averaged like 11 yards per play. They gashed him. Like Toafili ran like a 28-yard touchdown in. And then the rest of the game, they had 40 yards rushing. So they had 58 in the first drive, 40 the rest of the game. Finished with 98 yards and less, like just around 3 yards per carry. And like you said, could not move the football on the ground. And they just continued to run the ball, and it was not working. And Georgia Tech, not only did they stop the run, they ran all over Florida State, ran for 190 yards, over 5 yards per carry. And like you said, dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They were the better team the whole game.
Yep. They really were. And I think Georgia Tech's going to be pretty solid this year. So I don't think it's like a horrific loss for Florida State, but then Florida State's just obviously not near as good, I think, as people thought they would be. Paul Feinbaum was like laying into him earlier, and he's like, Florida State being in the top 10 is absolutely ridiculous. It's like a pity top. He's like, there's no way they're going to be anywhere near that good. And I think a telling sign was when they were doing game day, and Saban picked Florida State, but he was like, I saw him practice. He goes, they look pretty good. He goes, I think they're going to ultimately be too much in the trenches, but he goes, it's going to be it's going to be a really close game that Florida State.
Yeah.
He's like, I think either way, it's going to come down to
the last couple.
Goal.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I thought was interesting was they got a bunch of guys, and Florida State got a bunch of guys in the portal in the trenches. They was supposed to be their best offensive line in a long time, could get no push in the run game. And the defensive line had a bunch of portal guys. They could not stop the run late. They couldn't stop anything late. Georgia Tech went right down the field on that final drive before kicking that field goal. The one thing I'll say, what you're saying about the top 10, and I agree with you. I was doing I'm going to go over my power rankings for the top 10 in a second. I will say, after 9, it's kind of hard. I was struggling with 10. I reached for 10. kind of outside of the top 20, because really, if you look at it, like they have Michigan, I think, in the top 10, I believe, which is garbage. And like 11 down is just, Clemson, like Miami, like there's nobody I actually believe in. So that's the only reason I think I could see Florida State up there. It's like, well, they were undefeated last year. Yeah, they lost a bunch, but they got a guy from DJU who, by the way, we can talk about him. He was horrible in that game. He looks like the same dude, but he
had that one. The funny thing is he was not good at all. He just had that one drive where they went forward on like three, four downs and ended up making good throws on those plays. But other than that, it was a rough game for him. The thing about him is this. In the first half, he had negative air yards. He was throwing the ball on average behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I saw
so
that.
He just doesn't
That's insane.
Right. Well, and if you watch, and I was talking to my dad about it, watching the end of the game, like he can't throw anybody open. Like it's not like if you see him, if a guy's running a slant route, he's never throwing you open. You have to be open and then he'll hit you. Yeah, if you're open on a curl or you sit in the zone, but in man coverage, you're having to like throw somebody open. He just can't do it. It's not who he is. He'll throw the ball 4 yards out of bounds before he does that.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then on the other side, man, Haynes King is an absolute gamer. He was awesome. His numbers didn't look all that great. He was 11 of 16 for 146 yards, but he had over 9 yards per pass, ran for 55 yards. That last drive made a really big play that probably people didn't notice, but it was a 3rd and 7, like on their own 30-yard line, and a free blitzer came and he hit his check kind of going out in the flat and got the first down, kept the drive. It was a really good throw with pressure.
Put it on him hot. Yeah, the pressure was coming. He's turned into a really solid college quarterback. Like you said, he was good. He was good last year. He just turned over the ball a lot. But, he's come a long way from the days at A&M, that's for sure. So
imagine if he was, and I don't think he's like a Heisman candidate by any means, but he, numbers-wise in this game, it wasn't great. But last year, his numbers in terms of like he would have games where he threw for 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. If he was playing that good in that A&M offense, that'd be really interesting because they really haven't had a quarterback the last couple years.
Bring him back now.
And with all that,
the way he runs too, he's a good runner.
Last thing on this game, so into the game, I was really disappointed with Mike Norvell. Tell me your thoughts. Did you notice what he did? So Georgia Tech got a first down with 2 minutes to go, I think, or no, a minute 20, something like that. And they had all 3 timeouts. And to me, this always, and I think very highly of Mike Norvell. Like going into this year, I would have told you top 5 college football coach. I think he's phenomenal play caller, and I thought he's a really good coach. Did a heck of a job last year. But when I see coaches do this, it makes me wonder how they don't think about doing this. So they get a first down inside of 2 minutes. The clock stops to reset the chains. If you don't have enough timeouts to call a timeout every down, you 100% do not call it after they get the first down.
It saves you 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Yeah. And that 10 seconds might fucking matter.
Yeah, for sure.
And it I'm not saying they would have won the game otherwise, but he didn't do that. So that was a big mistake, I thought. Cost him 10 seconds. Calls the timeout, after the first down. Then he uses his other 2 timeouts. They actually knock him out of field goal range because of a big miscue on a fumble by the wide receiver.
Now, listen, in going back to that, too.
The wide receiver?
The motion. Listen, all those plays have that motion in it. Like they were talking about it. Like it's every single play. But you can kill that motion. You can say, hey, don't come in motion. We're just handing the ball off down the middle.
Yep.
And so that was almost catastrophic. I mean,
should have cost them the game or sent the game to overtime.
Yeah, it was crazy that happened.
And then, Florida State, I don't know what the fuck they were doing on you should have been playing everything short at that point. There was 50 seconds to go. Make them throw a deep ball and you let them get 15 yards on a screen pass. But then I thought, again, it was a bad call, but it was very close. Again, this to me is on Mike Norvell. And the commentators didn't say anything about it. And you and I were texting, and you said it immediately.
I thought that he went out of bounds.
He did on the screen pass. The guy and I went back and rewatched it. His left elbow comes down out of bounds before any other body part. The clock should have stopped. It would have been exactly 50 seconds. That field goal now has a lot more pressure because if you miss, it's not just going to overtime. They have the ball back on the 35 yard line, 40 yard line. If you if you make it, 45 seconds left for Florida State to go down and score and tie the game with a field goal. And with the clock stopping, that's very possible in college football on first downs.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
To me, Mike, and not only did he have the full 50 seconds that it was running to say something, Georgia Tech didn't call the timeout after it ran all the way down, and there had been no play yet. He still could have said, "Hey, go look at this."
It's weird that no one from upstairs said, he was looking at the screen like, "Hey, coach, you might want to ask the official to review it. I think he was out of bounds."
Yeah.
I mean, and the worst thing they can do is say, "Hey, we're not going to review it." Or
right.
And to be fair, you never know. He could have asked that official over there because he didn't have any timeouts.
Yeah.
So he could have asked that official saying, "Hey, can you check to see if he went out of bounds?" And maybe that's something. I mean, in college, they review everything upstairs. Right. So I don't know. But I figure he didn't because it did look like he was out of bounds to me. So I don't know. But yeah. Would have saved them 50 seconds. And like you said, 50 seconds in college football is starting at the 25, and every 10 yards you get the clock stopped. So you can go pretty quick. You can
go very quick. You can get field goal range very easily. And their kicker had made from like 56 earlier in that game. So they would have needed to only get to about the 37-yard line or so to get in legitimate range.
Oh, I saw that Portnoy. Did you see like his first bet of the college football year?
What was it?
It was under 27.5 in the first half. So that field goal killed him. It was 28. It was like a 59-yard field goal.
That was to go over?
Yeah, it went over 28. It pushed it. They were at 25, and he made the field goal to get it to 28.
That's that's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious.
He was like just shaking his head.
Well, I think he's due for a couple bad beats at this point. Jeez Louise, man. Crazy. Fucking crazy. Okay. I'm going to give my college football top 10 power rankings. This is going to be a weekly segment, and I'm going to go down the list, and then we can talk about it. So I'm going to try to give a short summary on these going through. Okay. And this will be updated every week. So we'll start with my Coach Leak's top 10 college football power rankings. Coming in at number 10, I've got one name for you, and that is Grayson McCall. Now, you might be asking yourself, how is that guy still playing college football? And that's a valid question. Yes, he may have been playing fucking college football back during the Bush administration, but after his ninth redshirt season, what?
I said pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, after his ninth redshirt season, he's taking his talents to Raleigh, North Carolina, and this is one of the most underrated teams in the preseason polls. They're outside the top 20. The NC State Wolfpack coming in at number 10. NC State, number 10 in my power rankings. Moving on, we will jump into the SEC, and the number 9 team I have is the Missouri Tigers. They were 11-2 last year, won the Fiesta Bowl over Ohio State. Brady Cook, back. Luther Burden, All-American wide receiver, back. Kirby Moore, offensive coordinator, back. Offensive line, 3 letters, NIL. They got paid, and they got some dudes up front. Not going to lie, they did lose a lot on the defensive side of the ball. 4 guys got drafted to the NFL. That's tough, but you know what is not tough? Their schedule, right? They play their first 4 games, Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt, okay? No offense, Bailey, but Vanderbilt's one of the worst teams in the SEC. Boston College is
call that a bye week.
Call that a bye week. They don't leave the state of North Carolina for the first 2 months of the season. All right, give me Missouri. I'm sorry, they don't leave the state of Missouri. Give me the Missouri Tigers at the number 9 spot.
I like it.
Number 8, coming in at number 8, the Penn State Nittany Lions. 2 words for you, and you have no idea who this guy is. Andy Kotelnicki. You may be asking yourself, who the fuck is that? Fair question. He's a new offensive coordinator, right? Now you might be thinking, who the fuck cares about an offensive coordinator? Well, when you have an absolute clown as your head coach in James Franklin, your coordinators fucking matter, okay? And Andy Kotelnicki, you know where he was last year, Turner? Can you tell me?
He was at... No, I have no idea.
He was at Kansas. He's been at Kansas, the OC at Kansas, who's been an explosive offense for the last 3 years under this guy. And you know what Penn State's offense has not been? Explosive. Drew Allar, a.k.a. Noodle Arm Jr., a.k.a. Jared Goff Jr. He's not great, okay? But you know what is great? The Penn State defense. They're elite. They're very, very good. Penn State, first college football playoff appearance this year. They get in as like a 10 seed, but they will be in the CFB playoff. Number 7, Jeremiah is going to like this. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Okay, they go from one old white grad transfer quarterback to another old white grad transfer quarterback. Out with the handsome devil that is Sam Hartman. In comes the brilliant, witty, very crafty Riley Leonard, okay? Lots of good words to describe white quarterbacks there. Leonard isn't the passer Hartman was, but he's big, he's tough, he's got a big arm, and that Notre Dame defense is elite. The Irish will not be a top 4 seed because the college football playoff will not allow them to, but they will be in the college football playoff. They have one of the easiest schedules in the country. They play, I think Florida State is one of their toughest games on their schedule. We saw how Florida State looked this week. We already just talked about it. So to me, coming in at number 7, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Number 6, this is a little bit high for them. You may disagree with this one. The Alabama Crimson Tide. The GOAT is OUT. Nick Saban out. Kalen DeBoer in. Not the downgrade you might think. Okay, Kalen DeBoer. He was at Wisconsin Whitewater. He was at Fresno State. He was at Indiana. He's won everywhere he's been. Obviously, Washington last year got all the way to the national title. Took that team who had not been there in 30 plus years. Damn near won the national championship. They get Jalen Milroe back at quarterback. Long run, I think this team is a top 3 program going forward. I don't think they take too much of a step back this year, though. I don't see them as a top 5 team. I don't see them competing for the SEC title, more so because I have 3 other SEC teams in the top 5 other than Alabama. And that one of those 3 teams happens to be number 5, and that is your Ole Miss running Rebels. As Lane Kiffin once said, get your popcorn ready. Now, after he said that, they proceeded to get absolutely spanked by Alabama by 35 points.
I remember that one.
Yeah, but I think this year they're actually legit. I think Ole Miss is going to be really good. I know you picked Jackson Dart to win the Heisman. I like that pick. I think he's a stud, over 5,500 yards and 38 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. He returns 3 of his top 4 targets from last year. They have one of the best offenses in the country. I would not touch an under on any of their games. They're going to score a ton of points. If their defense can find a way to get some stops, Lane Kiffin's going to have that team ready. They will be a college football playoff contender. I can guarantee you they'll be in there, barring some major injuries. I like the Ole Miss running Rebels. They come in at number 5. Number 4. This is the highest paid roster in college football, but they come in at number 4, and that is the Ohio State Buckeyes. And if you think they've got this high paid roster, they must have an elite quarterback, right? Well, they do not. They have Will Howard, and Will Howard had to leave Kansas State because he was going to lose his job to a sophomore. How much did they end up giving him to go there? I don't know. I think it was like $2 million. Will Howard, is he a solid college quarterback? Yeah, he led them to a Big 12 title at Kansas State a couple years back. Solid guy. He's a winner. But the fact is, besides Will Howard at quarterback, you also have an underperformer at head coach in Ryan Day, who can never win the big game, right? If you want a guy to dominate a game as a double-digit favorite, Ryan Day is your guy. If you wanted him to win games against Michigan or Ohio or Alabama or Georgia, he's not your guy. He's not going to do it. He chokes games away. I think this team is really, really good. I'm just not sure they're even the best team in their own conference. For that reason, I have them at number 4 instead of higher. Did you see it? Did it say how much he made?
Looked like it said 1.1.
1.1, okay.
But I don't know if that's
right. That's probably about right. I don't know that anybody's going to pay Will Howard more than $1.1 million.
No.
Okay, number 3. Coming in number 3, I think this team is a legitimate national title contender, and that is the Oregon Ducks, who is obviously my second favorite team. I'm a big Oregon fan, just behind my Texas Longhorns, but from one Heisman candidate to another, Bo Nix to the NFL, Dylan Gabriel steps in. He is the current odds-on Heisman favorite, as we talked about last week. Whether that's fair or not, I don't know, but he fits in that offense pretty well. Fast pace, lots of high-tempo, high-octane offense. But I got a name for you to remember this year, and that is Jordan James. He is the running back for the Oregon Ducks. He got bunch of snaps last year, but he played behind Bucky Irving. He's going to be a stud this year. He will be the best player on that offense. I think the Ducks are desperately trying to deliver Phil Knight a championship before his spirit goes to rest in the Buddhist temple for one last time. This could be the year. Dan Lanning's done a good job. He's built this team up in the trenches. They're big, they're tough, they're physical. I like Oregon a lot. They come in at number 3. So that leaves 2 teams, and you might be wondering who's going to be number 2, and that is going to be my Texas Longhorns. Coming in at number 2. Quinn Ewers is back for year 3. Arch Manning waiting in the wings, but he's not going to be playing this year unless Quinn Ewers gets hurt. The talent is undeniable on this roster. Now, they do lose their top 5 pass catchers from last year. Javion Sanders, gone. They lose Jonathan Brooks out of the backfield, gone. Xavier Worthy, gone. A.D. Mitchell, gone. Jordan Whittington, gone. But they reload. Isaiah Bond from Alabama comes in. He'll be the number 1 target. They get Silas Bolden coming over from Oregon State, who's a solid wide receiver. Matthew Golden coming in from Fresno State. They've got a bunch of talent, 5-star freshmen and sophomores coming up. They'll be fine. They also got the tight end from Alabama, Amari Niblack. He's going to be a stud at tight end. It is a tough loss. So they lost C.J. Baxter. C.J. Baxter tore his ACL, MCL, all his ligaments in his knee. That's a tough loss, but Jaden Blue was really good at the end of last year, and Texas churns out NFL running backs. Nobody thought anybody was going to be worth a damn last year, and Jonathan Brooks led the country in rushing. So I like Texas a lot. From an offensive standpoint, they're going to be one of the best 3 offenses in the country. Can their defense hold up is the question. That's the question of whether they will win a national title or not or compete. It's that secondary. They do return a lot. They were not great last year. We saw Washington torch them in the college football semifinal in the Sugar Bowl. Michael Penix threw for over 430 yards. If that secondary holds up, then we could see a Texas team playing for a national title. And that leaves number 1, and I've got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't like them. I don't like them one bit. Neither of us are very high on Carson Beck, but when you look at this roster, they got 5 stars everywhere, right? They've won, 36 consecutive regular season games. Okay. This team's only loss in the last 3 years is Alabama in the SEC title game. They are elite at every position from a talent perspective. Until somebody unseats them in the regular season, I cannot have anybody above Georgia. They do have a very tough schedule. They play Ole Miss, Alabama, and Texas all on the road. I believe that's their 3 toughest games.
Dang, yeah,
which is a big difference from last year's schedule, which was a joke. So,
but now you can lose 2 games and
yes,
even still get in the playoffs.
They could go 1 and 2 and they will still be in. They might even be able to lose 3 and be in.
Yeah.
But that comes in at number 1. Georgia Bulldogs, and that is my top 10. Do you have any disagreements with me?
NC
State 10.
State's definitely a stretch, but
yeah.
You got to have an ACC team in there probably. And
yeah.
They, at this point, looking at what Florida State was and looking how bad SMU looked week 1, I think SMU is going to be much better than that. I think they just came off the plane sleepwalking. But no, don't really disagree with anything too much.
You like Missouri, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, they
have an easy schedule, like you said. So I think it's going to be easy for them to get easier than others to get into the playoffs. So,
and the team that I bumped out of there was Michigan. I just don't think Michigan's any good.
I think there'll be problems there this year.
It'll be interesting to see. That's going to be the big week 2 showdown as Texas travels there. They're 3.5-point favorites at Michigan.
Yeah, funny argument. The Bussin' with the Boys guys, Compton and
Will Compton
and Taylor Lewan were arguing because they are going week 2. Nebraska plays Colorado.
Yeah.
And they're going like with their the podcast there or whatever, and Taylor Wan's like, "Yeah, you're lucky we did you a favor there, dude. We should be at Texas, Michigan, and Ann Arbor." And he goes, Will Compton looks at him and goes, "What are you talking about, man? Nebraska, Colorado is a bigger game." And
oh my gosh,
just shaking his head. It's like, dude, no, it's not. You live in your Nebraska bubble. He's like, "Oh no, man, let's do a poll on that. Let's do a poll." It's like no one.
99 to 1.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy. And he was dead serious. He's dead serious.
Went to Michigan. He's like, "Yeah, we're throwing you a bone so we could go." Like, oh, man, we're not. It's like, oh, I was talking about Nebraska football, but Nebraska football is back because they spend all that money. So
I actually think it's good for college football when they're good, like when programs like that are good who have been bad for a while. Like Michigan was terrible. I thought it was good for college football that Harbaugh went there and turned them around. I hope that Nebraska's able to kind of do the same thing. I haven't looked at their schedule too much, but I think maybe in 2 years, Nebraska could be like a legitimate contender to make the playoffs. Yeah. It's going to take a couple years, but I think I could see them being a 7-8 win team this year. I think their win total was 7.5, which is a huge step up from last year. And they had no quarterback.
I think they're going to be pretty decent this
year.
Defense will be good.
They had no quarterback last year, and they get a quarterback this time. So
yeah. I got a text message from Big Dog. I do not accept a lifetime ban, and I'm going to have a response, but I'm going to film it this week starting today. Yeah. And if I have a lifetime ban, I'm not going to say the rest of the stuff on here.
He's so everybody knows we had a scheduled pick'em show and another show that we were going to shoot, and he waited till
supposedly over there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. And so eventually, we get to the week of the show, and the guy Big Dog who suggested that we do the show on Wednesday claims that he never ever said that. Says we can't shoot it, all of this stuff. He loves to be in control. He's a control freak. He has ruined this first week of the show. He's trying to sabotage the channel as we're trying to build up and gain more followers, and he's trying to bring us down, but we will not stoop to his level. We will remain positive. Okay, power of positivity. Big Dog, you're not coming on the show anymore. All right. Let's go over. We have week 1, official week 1, not this week 0 bullshit. College football. It's back, baby. We're shooting right now Monday. It's about 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, which means we are literally, like 48, 72, like 76 hours away from the start of like the real week 1, because we got Thursday games.
Yeah, Thursday night games.
And we actually have 2 good Thursday night games. So we're going to talk about 2 of them. Now, one of them, I know you are looking forward to a lot, and that is Colorado taking on North Dakota State. Colorado's a 9.5-point favorite. It's actually up a little bit. I think it was around 7.5 or 8. It's up to 9.5.
ESPN says 10 now.
Ooh, up to 10. So we're getting some Colorado money. I'm surprised at that because I don't think that's public money this late. But you have a bold prediction on this. I know you gave it last week, but I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I think Colorado certainly could win the game, but North Dakota State keeps it close, if not beats them, I think.
Pick them to win.
No, I'm picking them to win. I'm taking North Dakota State. I think, and like I said, if North Dakota State does win this, Colorado, the wheels fall off the wagon. It's going to be horrible, I'm telling you. It'll be an absolute dumpster fire. Colorado may win the game, but I'm picking North Dakota State. I'm rolling with the Bison, pounding the rock, just trying to be tougher than Colorado. The struggle will be on North Dakota State's defense being able to hold up on the back end with all Colorado's athletes. But as far as up front,
I was going to say, in the trenches, I don't know that they're going to be that much at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think so. I wish it was South Dakota State, not North Dakota State, but South Dakota State's 7 points better, probably.
Are they actually?
Yeah.
Is South Dakota State the team that wins every year?
No, North Dakota State was the one that had the power forever. Won with Wentz and Trey Lance and all those guys. But South Dakota State's better at this point. They're the ones that won last year.
Yeah, South Dakota State, actually, we'll get to it, actually. I have this game on the docket, Okie State.
Yeah.
And they're only a 10-point dog.
Yeah.
But so you're picking North Dakota State to win the game?
Yeah, I'm going to pick them to win.
Do you want to pick against the spread, too, or should we pick just to win?
You can pick maybe your,
give them my best picks.
Your best bets. We'll just pick them.
We'll just pick them straight up. Okay, so you're going to pick North Dakota State.
I'll take North Dakota State.
I'll pick Colorado to win this game. Full disclosure, I'm rooting to be wrong. I hope North Dakota State wins. I think it's going to be very tight. I don't think Colorado kills them, but I just think the athletes would be a little bit too much for North Dakota State.
Definitely could be.
Okay,
especially week 1. Right
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Game number 2 on Thursday night is actually basically a pick 'em. North Carolina traveling to Minnesota. ACC Big Ten matchup. North Carolina is a 1-point favorite. The total in the game is 50. Who do you like?
I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to go with the Golden Gophers. And I know, be very full disclosure for the people at home, know very little about these two teams, but I know North Carolina lost their best receiver and their stud quarterback. And Minnesota, I assume they're just going to try to pound the rock on them and win the game at home. So I'll go Minnesota in a close one.
Yeah, the projected starter, and I actually don't know if this has been confirmed, but is Max Johnson starting for North Carolina?
Oh yeah,
and I don't think he's great. He's not horrible. He's just a I think he's a replacement level college quarterback, like a lower level power 4. I can't not say power 5. Lower level power 4 quarterback. Mac Brown is a likable guy. He's not the best X's and O's coach. I know he fired Gene Chizik this offseason from his defensive coordinator. I'm gonna take North Carolina just because Minnesota, I think, takes a while to get going each year. Like, I feel like they have to be coached to get better. Also, I think PJ Fleck is a clown. So I'm gonna take my boy row the boat. Yeah, I'm gonna take North Carolina to win this game. It'll be tight. Okay, Friday games. We've got a couple of decent games, but not great. Florida Atlantic takes on Michigan State in East Lansing. Michigan State a 13.5-point favorite. Total is 47.5.
Yeah, Michigan State's going to win the game. They should be at least a little improved, and I don't think Florida Atlantic's going to be very good this year. So I'll go Michigan State. Don't know a lot about Michigan State's roster this year either.
I know they were terrible last year.
They're bad.
Did FAU still have Tom Herman?
I believe they do. I think they might.
I believe they do. They were okay last year. Yeah, I'll take Michigan State as well. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble. I don't know how good Michigan State's going to be this year. Okay, Game number 4, second game on Friday night. We've got TCU, a 9-point favorite, traveling to Palo Alto to take on Stanford. Total in the game is 61.5. High total in that one.
I think the Horned Frogs are going to be... Well, Bailey, have we confirmed if Ken Seals won the starting job or is he the backup?
Is it okay? Ken Seals is the confirmed starter. Okay.
Confirmed starter, according to Bailey. I'm sure I'll see someone else trot out there on Friday night, but I'm going to go with TCU. I think they'll be better this year. Huge step back last year. I think they're going to be okay this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with TCU as well. I don't know what Stanford has, to be honest, but I do know TCU will be decent, and I know Ken Seals is the quarterback, and our friend of the show, Lucas, is on the team, so I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs at TCU. I'll be picking them weekly. Give me TCU in this one. Just so I can remember to write this down, you took North Dakota State, Minnesota, Michigan State, and TCU, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Saturday. And we've got some great games. This is actually a really good week 1 on that Saturday. So we'll start with one of the top 10 teams in the country, Penn State. The Nittany Lions are traveling to Morgantown, West Virginia to take on the Mountaineers. Penn State, an 8.5-point favorite. What do you like?
I'm going to take Penn State, but I think it's going to be a real close game. I think West Virginia is going to be pretty decent this year. I heard McAfee talking about them. I think they're going to be a solid team. But Penn State's defense is just going to be too good. I'm going to say Penn State by a field goal.
By a field goal.
Close game. Yeah,
I think Penn State's going to have one of their better years this year. I know West Virginia, Payne and Taw, the guys I listen to a lot, are pretty high on West Virginia this year relative to expectations. So I do think I agree it's going to be a tight game. This is one of the games I like in terms of my bets. So I'll lock this in as bet number 1. My bet your baby bet number 1 of the week. No, not really. I have only one of those.
It's not gambling when you know you're going to win.
Best bet number 1 of the week is going to be West Virginia plus the 8.5. I think they're a live dog here. I really like Penn State. I just think it's kind of a rivalry game. They're traveling on the road week 1, new offensive coordinator
in Morgantown.
It is an 11:00 game, so it's not going to be as bad as say a night game. But I think this is going to be a very tight game, and I'm going to take the points with more than a touchdown with West Virginia. All right, game number 2, another 11 a.m. kickoff, and we got this one especially for you, Bailey. Virginia Tech is a 13.5-point favorite at the Vanderbilt Commodores. 50.5 is the total. We know Bailey will be locked in on his couch watching the game. He said he doesn't have a couch. On the edge of his seat for every snap. And do you like Vanderbilt to pull the upset?
In support of Bailey, I'm going to take Vanderbilt.
Wow.
Not give me Virginia Tech.
He said,
Bailey said thank you.
Bailey said thank you, and as he said that,
Borat. Get Borat on the screen for that one. Virginia Tech by 17.
Oh man, that was a brutal.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. So
Bailey's so fired up for this game. He's like, I know just in his mind too, the kind of fan he is. He's thinking to himself, man, if we can just get this one, if we can start this season on the right foot and beat Virginia Tech, we're going to show the haters. It's a new era of Vandy football.
Bailey, do you think y'all are actually going to win? Do you believe y'all are going to win?
Dude, of course he does.
He's not responding. I guess that's a yes. I mean, I appreciate the positivity if you actually believe, but
it's a tough opener. Virginia Tech's supposed to be pretty good.
They actually are supposed to be up this year. Okay. Next game, one of the best games of the week.
You're taking Virginia Tech?
Sorry, yes. I didn't even pick the game. Wow. Yes, I'm taking Virginia Tech.
How disrespectful.
You just
said he didn't even pick the game. Like
why would I pick the game? It's an obvious pick. Okay.
Wow.
Hey, look, as I said for North Dakota State, I'll be rooting for them. I'll be rooting for Bailey. I'll be rooting for Vanderbilt. Every game Vanderbilt plays, I will root for them with the exception of the game they play Texas.
I do want to go back and say one thing. Virginia Tech's going to win the game, but it's going to be by like 3 to 7 points. It's going to be as painful as possible for Bailey. Like Vandy's going to keep it very close the whole game, but that'll be good. It'll show that Vanderbilt is not as bad. as they used to be.
That'll give Bailey some hope. I don't know if that's a good thing. Okay, but the next game is a top 25 matchup. We've got the number 1 team in the country taking on the number 4 team in the country, Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Clemson Tigers. This game is being played in Atlanta, Georgia, but in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It is not a home game for the Bulldogs. It's technically a neutral stadium where they play the SEC title game. Georgia is a 13.5-point favorite. Total is actually only 49. Does Clemson have any shot here?
I'm going to say no, but I think it's just going to be an ugly game. I think Georgia's going to win by 10.
Okay.
I think it'll be just ugly, low scoring. That's my official guess.
I actually think Georgia's going to beat the living crap out of them. I think we're not going to bet it because it's not in my nature to lay, 2 touchdowns, but
especially week 1 looking now, obviously Georgia's different than the other teams we've watched,
right?
But the underdogs have been decent.
Yes, they have, and I would lean more towards the dogs in week 1, which is why I wouldn't bet this. But my feeling on this is I just am not a believer in Cade Klubnik. We talked a little bit about him. I don't think he's very good, and I don't think the Georgia defense is what they were 2-3 years ago, but they're still a top 10 defense, and you have a quarterback who has not been very proven in against good teams. You have an offense that struggled last year, and then Clemson's defense lost a ton of guys. They're going to be good in 6-7 weeks. They're going to get better because they always do. But early on, I could see Georgia scoring quite a few points. They got Trevor Etienne, the running back from Florida. I think he's going to have a big game running on Clemson's defense.
Oh, Etienne's brother went back
from Florida to Georgia, which is disgusting, by the way. I can't stand that they're all
he went to Florida to Georgia. Florida to Georgia. Clemson.
No, Florida to Georgia. Yeah. Okay. This next game, actually, we're not even going to pick the winner. I just want to get your take on whether this game can actually get over the total, and that is Iowa versus Illinois State, and the total is 41 points. I just want to know, now that Brian Ferentz, son of Kirk Ferentz, is out at Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz, I believe, is suspended for the first game, can Iowa actually go over a total in their first game? Against an FCS opponent.
I'd have to see how Illinois State was last year.
I think
defensively.
I think this still goes under because I don't think Iowa can score. I do not think Iowa can score more than 28 points on anybody. And my feeling is Iowa's defense is good enough to hold an FCS school to under 2 touchdowns.
Looking at it, it looks like they played a lot of Illinois State killed Indiana State. Obviously, terrible.
Did they make the?
I'm gonna say I think they were close, or they just barely got in. I'm gonna say it's still gonna go under because, like I said, I don't think Illinois State's gonna score more than 7 points.
Yeah.
And Iowa's defense should be loaded. It'll come down to if Iowa could score a defensive touchdown, like they do a lot, but if they can get it in with defensively, they got a shot to go over. That's funny.
All right.
But yeah, I think they're going to roll them, obviously.
Yeah. Next game, we have not a top 25 matchup, but if you were going by the S&P or the FP Plus, which are like the power rankings, it would be. And that is the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Florida Gators. This game is, I believe, at the Swamp. I think that's correct. You know if I'm right about that? I think I'm looking it up.
Yeah, Swamp.
I think it's, yeah.
Wait.
Yep.
Yeah, Swamp.
It's at the Swamp in Gainesville. And this is a bet that I like a lot. I'm going to take, as much as this pains me to do this, I'm going to take Mario Cristobal here. We're laying less than a field goal. And this is just a massive game for Miami's season right out of the gate. And I like Florida's coach, Billy Napier. I hope he doesn't get fired. Their schedule is brutal, and yeah, they need this game a lot. But Miami, man, if they lose this game with all the money they spent, all the talent, it's going to look real, real bad. From a talent perspective only, Miami has a huge advantage here. They just don't have the coaching. And so my feeling is, yes, week 1, you have a ton of time to prepare, but I think Miami's talent, when you haven't had time to build your roster, like build around your guys and improve over the year, I think the talent's going to win out early on. I'm going to take Miami. I think they're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. That's my second best bet of the week. Miami Hurricanes minus the 2.5.
Dang.
Who do you like?
Miami's much more talented, but I can make the argument too that it's how tough Florida's schedule is. Like, this game at home is their season as well.
It's a huge game for both teams this early.
I'll take Miami in a close game. Close.
You think, obviously, it's 2.5. You think they'll cover the spread?
Cover that,
yeah.
probably.
It's a tough game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I just think
going in the swamp, game one it's
tough.
Is going to be tough, but I like you said, they spent all that money, and you'd think the talent's going to get them over the hump to beat Florida.
Cam Ward also has played better early in the season. He's played better early on, so that's kind of one thing I was leaning towards in that game when I was looking at this. I've already bet it. I just assume that's going to go to 3 because I think the public will be on Miami.
Sure.
Which I don't love about that pick, but I already took it just to get ahead of that line move.
Yeah.
Okay, next game. This is an easy pick, but I just wanted to throw it in there because I know your brother went to UTEP, right?
The Miners.
They're taking on
Trey.
Shout out Trey. They're taking on Nebraska in Lincoln. They're 27.5-point favorites.
The Miners, I'll tell you, they're supposed to be. Didn't your buddy, the one you listened to, bet the board? Didn't he take them over? He thought they're going to be.
They said they have their best recruiting class in program history.
Yeah, apparently there's someone they're spending money over there now because I saw that they got a recruit. They got a 3-star kid. The quarterback for Steele is committed to UTEP.
Is he really?
It's like a 3-star.
This year, going into 2025.
Going into this year, yeah. So Nebraska's going to win the game. I'm going to say that UTEP keeps it inside of 28.
I think so too.
Lose by 17.
I 100% agree with you. I think it's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that has not been good for a while, and I don't know what ranking their recruiting class was, but I want to say it was top 100 at least. I don't know what number. It was their best recruiting class in program history for sure, and they got some good portal kids too. Okay, they have a new coach there? Didn't he come over from a FCS school or no?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. Is it the Austin P guy?
Yeah, and he brought a ton of kids over from Austin P as well.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, next game. This is just kind of a close game, and this team actually was really solid last year. Miami, Ohio. They won the MAC, didn't they? I believe they won the MAC.
Alabama stole their kicker.
Did they actually?
Have you heard about that?
No, I didn't.
The interview is absolutely hysterical. It's like one of the local guys is interviewing the coach out there on the field, and he's like, yeah, you lost your kicker, and he's like, we didn't lose him. Alabama stole him from us. So you just call it how it is. And
that is hilarious.
Well, I know that, but I just say, he's like, yeah, you don't have to be. Because Alabama stole their kicker illegally. And he kept saying it.
Oh, illegally?
He's like, yeah. They recruited him illegally.
That is funny.
They stole their kicker.
That is so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty damn funny.
Well, Northwestern is who they're taking on, and it's a road game for Miami, Ohio, but Northwestern is just a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, to me, this is the classic. I know I would say confidently Northwestern's going to end up winning the game. I think what happens in these games, it's just bad matchup for the MAC teams because a team like Northwestern is so big and so physical. They're just going to lean on you and they're going to run the ball. As far as the skill positions, Miami, Ohio may have better skill position players. I just think that in the trenches, I bet they're, and I could be wrong, but I would look at the offensive defensive line and be like, I bet they're giving up a lot of weight on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
The MAC offensive lines compared to the Big Ten is just, and if Northwestern can ever do anything, it's just sit there and run
Right.
the ball against halfway decent teams. So I'll go Northwestern at home minus the 2.5.
Yeah. Since
we're just picking them straight.
But I mean, they'll cover the spread more likely if they win. But I mean, that's the thing. If you look at Miami last year, I think I want to say they were 10-2 in the regular season, and then they won the MAC championship over Toledo, finished 11-2 and then lost their bowl game to App State. But they played Miami that first game, who was okay last year, and lost 38-3 and could not do a damn thing.
Yeah.
So that
and
said,
I remember everybody thought that one was going to be kind of tight as well.
I actually laid the points with Miami in that one. It was like a 17.5-point spread, and they just covered the spread 16.5 very easily. But the only thing about that worries me is Northwestern is just they just suck so bad offensively every year. And this Miami team did return a lot of guys. They're projected to be solid. You know what? I'm gonna just actually go on a limb and take Miami to win this game. I don't like Northwestern, so I'm gonna take Miami. I agree with you. I think probably Northwestern wins the game. They're probably more physical, and they they do enough to get by, but I'm going to take the upset here and take Miami. If this was a neutral game or in Miami, I would say for sure. I might bet Miami, but the fact that it's on the road makes it a little tougher. Next game, Boise State is actually only a 13-point favorite against Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern was okay last year.
Yeah, they were.
Is it at Boise State or is it Georgia Southern?
At Georgia Southern.
I'm going to take Georgia. No, I mean, I'm going to take Boise State to win the game. I think it's going to be closer than that number, though. That would be my guess. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm going to go Georgia Southern to stay within the number, but Boise State to win the game outright.
I'm going to take, damn, dude, actually, they were only 6-6 last year.
I think they fell off towards the end of the year.
Yeah, they did. You're right.
Okay in the middle.
They were 6-2 and lost their last 4 games. So yeah. I'm going to take Boise State. I think Boise State has a decent chance.
They brought that running back, right? The guy that's so good. He's a monster.
That guy is a beast.
Yeah.
He's an absolute.
You can't take that guy down. He's a monster.
No, he is absolutely ridiculous. That's I think it's Ashton Jeanty or Jeanty, Jeanty. Yeah, he's ridiculously good. I don't love their quarterback, the little white kid Maddox Madsen, but yeah, I think Boise State has a chance to be the Power 5 team in the playoff. I don't know if they're going to be, but they have a shot. Okay. Moving on, so we took Boise State. All right, we don't really need to pick that game. UNLV at Houston, basically a pick 'em. Houston's a 1-point favorite. UNLV was really good last year.
Yeah, and Houston's just they can't really figure it out. You would think with all the money that Tillman Fertitta has, and they would be spending money in NIL, and maybe they are. They just haven't gotten it right.
They fired Dana Holgerson, right?
Yeah.
They hired. Oh, you know who they hired? They hired Tulane's coach, Willie Fritz.
Willie Fritz, and I like Willie Fritz.
I'm actually going to take Houston because of that. I think he's a very good coach.
Willie Fritz is a good coach. I assume he brought guys over with him, so I'll take Houston as well on that one.
I think that's going to be a good game, but I agree. I like Houston. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. Sorry, we'll try to get through all of these real quick. We're almost to the end. Oh, okay, here we go. This is maybe the best matchup of the week. Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Notre Dame. A&M is actually a 2.5-point favorite. They're playing in College Station. Tough draw for Notre Dame in the first game. Now, Notre Dame's schedule after that is ridiculously easy.
Yeah, it would be huge if they could win this one. I'm going to take the Aggies in this one, and I don't usually do that, but at home, man, and Notre Dame's got an inexperience. They've made some changes. They've lost guys on the offensive line. Going straight into Kyle Field for the first game you play, and a night game at Kyle Field. I mean, it's just going to be really, really tough. The only thing they do have going for them, obviously, is, Riley Leonard's a veteran, and, going in there, if anybody can handle it, it's him. But I'm going to take A&M in a close game there.
This is my favorite bet of the week. I like A&M as well. Everything you just said is spot on, right?
Jeremiah's going to be disgusted.
I'm sorry. Look, it's not. I picked Notre Dame in a top 10 team.
Yeah,
they're going to be in the college football playoff. I'll give you a bold prediction right here. This is the only game Notre Dame is going to lose this year. They're going to win the rest of their games because if you look at their schedule, I believe the only other ranked teams they play are Florida State at home, and then the last game of the season they play at USC. I mean, the rest of their schedule is Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Virginia, and Army. It's a terrible schedule. Yeah. After last year playing maybe the toughest schedule in the country. This is the only game they're going to lose. It's just a terrible draw. You have a new quarterback, going into Kyle Field on a night game. It's just against a team who's probably equally as talented as you.
Yeah.
To me, I know Mike Elko first game, that's not easy to win your first game against a top 10 team. Notre Dame's the higher ranked team, but yet A&M is favored. This is my favorite bet of the week. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be tight. Riley Leonard will make some plays. A&M finds a way to win by a touchdown late. But I think there's a shot that they overwhelm them and win relatively easily. I think Notre Dame gets a lot better. They don't lose the game the rest of the year. But this one they're going to go down. A&M's going to win. And I am the biggest anti-A&M guy out there. So this is coming from a guy who does not like A&M, and they're my favorite bet of the week. That's green flag right there to go ahead and take A&M. All right. A few more. We've got Fresno State at Michigan. Michigan's a 21.5-point favorite.
Michigan.
Okay, I'll take Michigan as well. This only reason I put this game on here, we don't have to pick this one, but here's another bet I actually like. Georgia State is catching 22 at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is coming off a big emotional win. They're coming back from Ireland, which is always a bad sign. You look at the NFL teams who come back from playing overseas in London, it always is they always have a trouble the next game. And if you look at Georgia Tech last year, every time they won a big game, they came and had a letdown in the fall. Like, I think they lost to Bowling Green after a big upset last year. So I think Georgia State is able to hang in here. I think it's a big letdown spot for Georgia Tech. This is one of my other bets of the week. So that's my fourth play. Favorite bet's A&M, but that's one of my other plays. I like Georgia State plus the 22. You're catching more than 3 touchdowns. You know, you're playing an in-state rival. You've had all the time to prepare for them. They had to prepare for Florida State. They haven't looked at your team. They don't care. They don't think anything about Georgia State. And it's a tough travel spot for Georgia Tech.
Definitely.
Okay. Last game of the Saturday night schedule, we have Wyoming. Your Wyoming Cowboys traveling to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
I don't know what the line is. I don't care. Give me Wyoming by a touchdown.
I love it. Wyoming's actually a 6.5-point dog.
Arizona State's a dog.
Do you want me to take the Cowboys too, or should I take Arizona State?
Whatever you think.
All right, give me the Cowboys. I'll take Wyoming with you. Cowboys always get it done.
Wyoming.
I wish this was in Laramie, then I would definitely take them.
Team.
Okay, last 2 games, and then we're done. LSU, Sunday, taking on USC. LSU is a 4.5-point favorite. Total on the game is 63.5.
Who are they playing?
It's LSU at USC.
Man, I don't think LSU is going to be very good this year. I'll take USC.
I was going to take that too. You stole my pick. Stole my thunder there.
I love the way that kid played in the bowl game. That's going to be the starter.
Yeah, he's good. He's solid. Yeah. I think
slinging it around.
I think this is good. This game goes over by 2 touchdowns. I think it's super high scoring. Now their defense can get a stop, 63.5. I think this game goes.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of points.
Be 77 points in this game, and I think LSU loses to USC. I think LSU. One of my favorite bets of the year was LSU under 9.5 wins. And if they lose this game, you can almost guarantee they're going to lose. They're going to win. You're going to win that bet. Give me USC. Last pick, Boston College at Florida State on Monday. Florida State is a 17-point favorite coming off the loss to Georgia Tech.
It's a tricky spot just because they're coming back from Dublin, like you said about Georgia Tech, but I think Florida State wins.
I do
probably an ugly game, but I think
probably low scoring, and DJU, not the guy, but they'll find a way to win this. They have to. They can't lose this game. Can't lose back to back. They're also at home. All right, that pretty much wraps up our show. I was going to touch on Caitlin Clark, but we're kind of running over on our time, so we'll wrap it up. Caitlin Clark, we already know. We already know everything. She's the GOAT. GOAT, MVP, Rookie of the Year, name it. By the way, Angel Reese, 4 of 16 last night. She's shooting under 28% in their last 4 games. And the Chicago Sky are about to drop out of the playoffs. Big game for the Fever tonight, taking on the Atlanta Dream.
Baby.
Playoff implications on the line with 10 games left in the season. Look for Caitlin to have a 20-plus point game. All right, that's everything we've got for this week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully, we'll be back with a pick'em show next week. Maybe not. We don't know because Big Dog just does whatever the fuck he wants. But we'll see what happens. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, to like and subscribe. Make sure, if you are in a truck or car accident, to call Jeff Davis because the 4s are here for you. And besides that, I think that's everything, right?
We're not going to quit on you, Jeff. We won't quit on
We're to keep going and, tune in for some great college football this weekend. You've got...
other friend of the program, Bearcats. Go Bearcats. Playing Rice this weekend. Sam Houston State.
Let's go Sam Houston State. All right, go Sam Houston State. Yep. Bearcats.
Go Bearcats. Beat Rice.
All right, we're rooting for the Bearcats this weekend, so tune in for that. Tune in for the Vanderbilt game and support Bailey's quest for a national title. I don't know if he's gotten the head coaching job on NCAA 25 at Vanderbilt yet. Bailey, yes or no? Have you gotten the Vandy job yet? He's been playing online, so he hasn't gotten there yet. Okay, well... Disappointing, but that's it. I forgot. I didn't even put my Longhorns on here. Texas Longhorns taking on Colorado State. Easy win. Don't have to even pick the game.
Fair enough.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy college football this week. We'll be back next week to preview everything from the week 1 of the NFL, and we will catch you guys next time.